Great Canadian Fight Show. Welcome back, everybody. As usual, one half your co-host, it's your boy, Alex Deudesel, reporting live from beautiful Calgary, Alberta. Joined as always by my co-host, the brilliant Kyle Allen. How we doing tonight, partner?
Partner, we're doing good. Just coming off a relaxing weekend and got my wisdom teeth pulled out. That was exciting, I guess, but we're still alive. We're still alive, so we're good.
That's good to hear, Kyle. You sound great, man. For a guy who just got his mouth ripped to shreds, you sound great, buddy. But I want to give a shout out to the Calgary Flames. Pulled out a big win against potential first round opponent, the Nashville Predators. They tied it up with 0.1 seconds left, Kyle. This brought me back, buddy. This was reminiscent of Trent Klatt versus the Calgary Flames back in the day. This was reminiscent of Cookie versus the Minnesota Wild back in the day. Man, this was awesome, man. Were you able to catch the game?
Yeah, I caught the highlights. I didn't see the actual game. I was just being disappointed by the Canucks not making the playoffs, but hurt a little bit. But yeah, I think the Flames have a very good shot at going far and going deep into the playoffs this season. So I'm curious to see how they do, and they're definitely going to be my great Canadian hockey team to watch now.
Woo-hoo. Definitely some good Canadian hockey hopes coming into the 2022 playoffs. You got the Flames coming in hot. You got the Oilers, who have looked like a well-oiled machine since they put in a new coach. You got 60-goal scorer Austin Matthews on the Leafs. Buddy, could this be the year we finally break that damn streak?
Could be.
Could be indeed. But we're a fight show, folks. And before we get into Amanda Lemos versus Jessica Andrade, who had a fight night, who main evented a fight night last weekend, Kyle, I got a little bone to pick with the UFC here, buddy. For a company that's apparently breaking all the records and doing as good as they've always been, I got to address the elephant in the room here. The last few fight nights, the matchup wise, I mean, they've had some fight nights that have pulled them out the ass, and we're going to exclude that UK one from this. These matchups have been just shitty, man. I mean, there's a lack of star appeal on these UFC fight nights. No ranked fighters. Like, am I the only one noticing this? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely the last couple have been not quite the most exciting. Like sometimes you do get really exciting fight nights that just come out of nowhere, and like that's what you hope for every single fight night. But yeah, these last two definitely were a little bit on the snoozing side. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's just they're putting too many cards on, or they just want to compete with other organizations and just have like a fight every weekend, or they have to meet a quota through ESPN. I don't know exactly what it is, but yeah, a few of these cards definitely could be maybe combined and put into like a stronger card, something like that.
I mean, I just feel like, call me old fashioned, but I just feel like I come from an era where, you get a ranked main event, and the last few main events, I mean, they've been decent. I mean, Andrade, Lemos, but Luke Gay Muhammad, I mean, that's a solid fight night main event. But the co-main is important too. I mean, that's the second face on the poster. And we've had Clay Guida versus Puelles, which, with all due respect to Clay Guida, that's not a fucking co-main event. Last weekend, we had Kao Borralho versus Omar Gadziev. I mean, that's not a co-main event. Where are all the ranked fighters at, Kyle Allen? What are they doing? I'm hearing about fights getting booked in July. Where are these guys?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know if they just have to have a certain amount of fights, so they just try to fill these cards with whatever they have left over, whoever's willing to accept fights. But yeah, like I said, these last two cards, you could have easily made the main card Bilal Muhammad, and then done the co-main Jessica Andrade and what's her name? Lemos.
Amanda Lemos.
Yeah, and then kind of you'd make a solid card of that, like a decent card. But yeah, I don't know. I guess they're just trying to put on cards every single weekend and trying to make people tune in every weekend. But I find it hard myself. I'll watch the fights, and but I find it hard myself getting very excited for something like this.
Absolutely. I mean, look, and it's unfair for the UFC to come out after the event has happened and say, see, see. I mean, that's bullshit. It's you got to get some ranked fighters in there. You got to get some names in there that'll get people excited for these fight nights. And I agree. It's look, we're both fight fans, and we try our best to promote the UFC and we promote MMA. But fuck, I want to see some big names on these UFC fight nights. I want to see some guys that some exciting matchups. Shouldn't
Yeah.
have to wait for the summer for UFC International Fight Week to see stacked cards.
Yeah, I used to like it back in the day when there wasn't quite as many cards, and you would like be counting down the weeks waiting for that big UFC card to come on, or back in the day like the big like Pride card or whatever it was, because they were only on maybe once a month or something like that. So you were just so looking forward to it. The card was always stacked. But yeah, I guess these free cards they're trying to promote to the average audience, trying to get more fans, more eyeballs. So I see what they're doing, but I would like to see them maybe stack them with a little bit more talent, or maybe start some other kind of show like how they have Dana White's Contender Series, make it on like a I don't know, on like a Wednesday night fights or something like that, and kind of have something different instead of stacking them all on these Saturday nights. And probably hard for people on Saturday nights to tune in if they're out partying or doing whatever they're doing.
That's a great point, Kyle. It's just for me, it seems like the norm now for fighters, especially ranked fighters, unfortunately, is to fight twice a year. And anybody who fights 3, 4 times a year, I mean, they're idolized. They're Chimaev, you know? I mean, shit, this used to be the norm. I mean, I want to see guys be more active. I don't want to see Kobe Covington have one fight and then sit out for 9 months and wait for, a main event. I don't want to see Ortega versus Yair Rodriguez get pushed to September. I want to see these guys in the ring. Come on, we're fight fans. And as
Yeah.
fight fans, good transition. Let's get into the aforementioned fight card this weekend. There was a fight card this weekend, folks. I know I just took a shit all over it, but let's get into it regardless. Amanda Lemos versus Jessica Andrade, a main event fight that definitely could have some title implications, and ended up being an okay fight. Jessica Andrade gets the victory by standing triangle, which I thought was pretty amazing. So congratulations to her. But otherwise, Lemos doesn't put up much of a fight. Kyle Allen, let me get your reaction.
Yeah, like you said, the arm triangle standing up is pretty impressive. You don't see it very often.
Yeah.
When I can think of what fight it was. It's definitely happened once before. I'm just trying to, the fight is slipping my memory, but yeah, it's not very often. Very impressive. Jessica Andrade looked very good. Still one of those fighters is just like she was the champion for a brief minute, but just one of those fighters that maybe can't quite be like a long-term champion, but she looked good. And yeah, Amanda Lemos, I think she maybe overlooked Andrade a little bit in this and expected it maybe be a little bit of an easy fight, but Andrade is solid, she's strong, and she showed it on Saturday night.
I'm going to throw a comparison at you here. I want to know if you agree with me. She, to me, is like the Curtis Blades of the women's division. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think maybe a little bit better because she was the champion, so you got to give her that.
Sure.
But yeah, like her getting back to being a champion, I think she might be just one step behind some of these women.
I mean, I agree. And some of these women, I mean, we're talking about Shevchenko and we're talking about Rose Namajunas. I mean, elite. But regardless, congratulations to Jessica Andrade. Kyle Allen, if you were the UFC, what would you do with Miss Andrade next?
Let me bring up here's the rankings for the women. Let me bring it up real quick. Because she's not really like, she's kind of like floating around in different weight divisions. So I'm seeing she's ranked in any of these divisions.
She's ranked in oh no, sorry, in
I like she's
flyweight. Oh no, is it no? Is it? She's back in strawweight now, I think, right?
yeah, she's been moving around. I don't even see
Moving
her ranked.
around, yeah, between flyweight and strawweight.
Yeah, I don't even see her ranked in any division. But like she's definitely up there. I mean, like if she's floating in both divisions, she's definitely up there in either strawweight or flyweight. But
Yeah, I mean, in either division, anyone. I mean, anyone outside of Weili and Carla Esparza, maybe. I don't see anybody in the strawweight division giving her much problems.
I would like to see her versus Mackenzie Dern would be a good fight. Both
That
have
would be
really
a great
good,
matchup.
both good grappling, both pretty strong, and that would put them either one of them right in the title contention. So I think that might be a good fight at strawweight if she is willing to go, or if she is kind of sticking around strawweight.
I'd love to see that matchup. I mean, definitely the most true test of Mackenzie Dern's career. And that would be, she's struggled sometimes in some matchups where the opponents give her back some adversity. So that's a great shout out, Kyle. I'd really like to see that matchup. Amanda Lemos, again, tough call for her. But again, she loses to Jessica Andrade. So can she really be penalized for this? I definitely think she does stay ranked. I mean, for me, I'd love to see a rematch with her and Angela Hill. What would you say to that? I mean,
Yeah,
we were saying that she was potentially robbed in that one.
yeah, I really like Angela Hill, and I like her fighting style. I think that'd be also equally as good a good fight, I would say.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations again to Jessica Andrade. She gets it done with an early contender for the Frozen Glove submission of the year. It was fantastic. I mean, imagine choking someone out while they're still standing up. Fantastic. We move to our co-main men's lightweight bout. There was a performance of the night winner here for Claudio Puelles. He got the UFC 55,000. Clay Guida versus Claudio Puelles, with the aforementioned Puelles winning in round number 1 via submission. Kyle, Clay Guida was your boy, but he kind of showed his age a little bit in this matchup. Just couldn't seem to keep up with Puelles' elite grappling, and once he got a hold of him, he just couldn't let go. Do you think this was just an off night by Guida, or is he showing like he might be at the end of the road here?
I think a little bit of both. Like the guy he fought is 26 years old. He's a younger fighter, and it's tough, yeah, for some of these guys to compete against someone super young and super talented like that. So I think it's a little bit of both. Like I think Guida on a good night would probably be able to do a little bit more, but yeah, it looked like he just didn't have the best night, and the other guy being a really good fighter and a really good up and coming talent.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I'd love to see Puelles. I mean, it's definitely a big step in his career. I'd love to see him transition into fighting a ranked opponent next, or someone with a little bit more youth on their side, not a journeyman fighter. So congratulations to him. I mean, not much you can say. He got the UFC's attention, winning performance of the night. It was a bit of a lackluster card. I mean, not going to be around the bush about it. But again, congratulations to him. Another shout out here. We had a Canadian on Saturday night, Kyle. Charles Jourdain, my pick, coming in and beating Lando with a first round submission and a pants. Banana finished the fight with his shorts around his ankles, pantsed and submitted. Kyle, what do you think of Jourdain, and do you think he could be a player in this division?
Yeah, definitely surprised me. I personally thought Bernardo was definitely going to run away with this, but I was surprised. This guy looks good. He's definitely going to be on the Great Canadian radar for quite a while here for us to watch and look out for, and maybe get on the show one of these days. But yeah, he looked really good. Solid submission, and yeah, very good.
Very, very good indeed. I mean, I loved his composure, especially early on, because Venata was piecing him up. He had him on the ground in a vulnerable position. Many would have folded, but Jourdain, very confident in his jiu-jitsu and his grappling, was able to turn that around and never let go. A very, very good guillotine to win the fight. Congratulations to Charles Jourdain. Kyle, any other shout outs that you'd like to give from Saturday night's main event?
Take a quick look. I feel the Macy Barber fight and Montana De La Rosa fight was pretty good. Macy Barber showed some grit in that fight, and she had a pretty good. It was a pretty close fight, but she squeaked to the decision, and yeah, she showed definitely some grit in that fight to push forward and potentially be a contender in the women's flyweight division.
Absolutely, indeed. Congratulations to Macy Barber. I know that she's not a huge fan favorite, but definitely a good fighter. And we look forward to seeing her next. It's time for the Great Canadian Picks for this weekend. I think I kicked your ass last weekend, Kyle, with these picks. I mean, I'm going to take my wins when I get them. They are far and few. So I'm going to go ahead and give myself first dibs. My performance of the night on Saturday night went to Charles Jourdain, the French Canadian. Holla! He looked great against Lando Venata, and I look forward again to seeing him against potentially a ranked fighter in the near future. Let's get back in there soon, baby.
I'm going to go with Jessica Andrade. I think she looked super impressive, and that submission she landed on Lemos and was able to finish standing up. I think it was just too impressive not to give her the performance of the night.
Indeed. I mean, you can't go wrong with either of those picks. Fight of the night. Tough one to choose from. Again, all the fights were relatively short this main event. So I'm going to go ahead and give it to Lando Venata versus Charles Jourdain. Regardless, it was still very competitive in the first round. Venata had Jourdain in some vulnerable positions. So that's my pick for fight of the night. But again, tough one to choose from last week.
Yeah, I'm going to go with, like I was talking about before, I'm going to go with Macy Barber and Montana De La Rosa. I feel like that was it went to decision, and it was back and forth fight. And I feel still wasn't super exciting, but I think it deserves fight of the night.
Excellent. Well, that puts a bow on UFC Fight Night, Andrade versus Lemos, which took place last Saturday night. Congratulations to all the winners, and congratulations to the winners of the Great Canadian Fight of the Night. Folks, it's time for your favorite segment. It's time for the news. Here we go. First up on the ballot, Arjun Bhullar, the Canadian boy, Canadian heavyweight champ for ONE FC Championship, just re-signs a nice contract for the promotion. Kyle, are you slightly disappointed that he's decided to establish himself in home championship instead of trying for one more UFC run?
Yeah, he's a Richmond boy, represent. So yeah, I would love to see him back in the UFC. It looks like he's really improved and really gotten better going over to ONE. So I'm very curious to see what he would do in either UFC or Bellator. But yeah, like maybe just they must have offered him a good amount of money. Maybe he likes it over there, what they do for them and stuff like that. But yeah, a little disappointing, but hopefully he's making money, and yeah, the pride of Richmond carries on.
I do. I mean, his confidence just seems to be sky high, especially since he was able to win the championship in ONE. I mean, yeah, I want to see this guy fight the biggest names, just like I want to see Demetrius Johnson fight the biggest names. I mean, with all due respect to all of these promotions, Bellator, you know, they've been putting on great fights, but I just want to see the best fight the best. I want to see all the guys in the WWE, you know what I'm saying?
True.
But again, next on the news, Cejudo versus Sterling. Cejudo calls out Aljamain Sterling. This guy's just calling out anybody. But in a world where Dana White has one too many whiskeys and decides to book this fight, Kyle Allen, who would you put your money on?
This is a tough one. I would be leaning more towards Cejudo on this one. Just his credentials, his fights against Mighty Mouse, arguably one of the best fighters in the world, and just his last couple of performances. I'm assuming he'll come back and be better than before. if he hasn't lost a step. But yeah, his last performances against like Dominic Cruz and what's his name, Magic Marlon Rice.
Bischoff.
Yeah, like he's a competitor. He lives and breathes for competition. So I think he gets it done over Sterling if that fight was made.
I know that's a tough one for Kyle to admit because, truth be told, folks, Cejudo, not his favorite fighter. But that doesn't matter. We're here to be completely, what's the word I'm looking for here? What's the word I'm looking for here? Unbiased. There we go.
You got it.
Next on the news, we've got Francis Ngannou appearing at the Tyson Fury fight. Tyson Fury looked great Saturday night, by the way, completely piecing apart Dillian White for a masterful performance to defend his WBC heavyweight championship. But he had a special guest in his post-fight interview. Francis Le Prédateur Ngannou appears, and the two of them continue to tease a heavyweight counter-promotion monster fight. Kyle Allen, things are getting spicy here. Do you see this happening?
I can see it happening. I don't know how they'll do it, when they'll do it, the rules and stuff like that. But Ngannou has to re-up his UFC contract, so I don't think there's any way he'll sign a contract with UFC unless there's some stipulation in it that allows him to take his fight. Because let's be real, this is like the biggest money fight for him. It's arguably it's probably the biggest fight since Conor and Mayweather, I would say.
Absolutely.
And I don't favor him. If it's a straight boxing fight, I don't favor him in that fight, but he's going to get a big payday and he deserves it. So I'm very interested in this fight, and especially if they mix in MMA rules or small gloves or something. Very interesting.
Do you think there's any chance that Dana White kind of plays the petty card here and uses this as a bit of an insult and maybe refuses to resign Ngannou to the money that he wants? I mean, do you think that this in any way hindered his relationship with the UFC?
Possibly. It depends what happens. Like if Jones comes back, beats Stipe, and Jones is like the poster boy of heavyweight, then maybe he'll kind of forget about Francis. But then that always lays the question, like who would win, John Jones or Francis? And maybe Dana wouldn't want to like kind of let that linger, because then you'll never know who's the best heavyweight if those two don't fight.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, for me, I love to see it. I mean, I would love for the fight to happen in Africa. Rumble in the Jungle 2, Fury versus Ngannou. I mean, I think it would be fantastic. Let's talk fantasy, though, Kyle. This fight comes down. The word on the street is it's going to be a hybrid fight, a boxing ring with UFC gloves. I mean, that changes everything. Do you give Ngannou more than a puncher's chance? Or is it just a matter of he's got to land the big shot and Fury's a huge favorite? What do you think?
Yeah, it's a lot different game with the small gloves on. If someone lands with small gloves on, like compared to boxing gloves, that person's going to go out. So they both have power. I would still favor Tyson Fury in that. If they mix in any other MMA rules like takedowns or clinching or anything like that, then I think it definitely slides over to Ngannou's favor. But yeah, I'm very curious to see what they're going to do and what kind of rules they're going to allow in the fight.
What a time to be alive when we look each other dead in the eye, dead serious, and consider Ngannou a decent grappler. Wow. On to the next step of the news. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson has named who he wants to fight next. And shocker, he's calling out the Diaz brothers. In a make-believe world, the Stephen Wonderboy Thompson gets paired in a fight against Nate Diaz. I mean, do you give Diaz any hope here of beating Wonderboy, or do you think this is another case of the Diaz just getting absolutely destroyed?
Well, first off, I'm going to put a big X on this fight because I don't think it's ever going to happen. I think that maybe Nick, I don't know if he's going to fight again, but Nate is definitely looking for a bigger fight, bigger name, someone probably ranked higher. I don't see him wasting his time with someone like Wonder Boy, but
Oh,
in a I love Wonder Boy, but I'm just saying what's real, and I don't think it's gonna happen. But if in a crazy alternate world, this Stephen Thompson was a big name money seller, then I would probably favor Stephen Thompson in that fight.
Kyle, you've gotten cold, my brother. You've gotten cold. But I totally agree. I mean, I think I do think Nate Diaz is looking for a bigger name. I mean, I'd love to see Nick Diaz step in there. I think that'd be a phenomenal matchup. But yeah, I think Nate Diaz himself, like you said, he's looking for a Jorge Masvidal rematch. He's looking for a Conor McGregor fight. I mean, he's looking for something big that he can potentially headline a pay-per-view with. So good discussion point. Kind of down the shitter. Let's move on. Dominator Cruz. He says he wants a top 5 fighter, Kyle Allen. Don't waste his time with anybody outside the top 5. Seems like Aldo was kind of a done deal, but he named other fighters. He named Sterling. He named Dillashaw. He named Cejudo. What do you think is the most likely matchup for Dominic Cruz?
I mean, if he really wants to test himself and he's calling out all these other fighters, then why not throw Peter Yan's name in there? Put him in there, Peter Yan. If he can beat Peter Yan, like that really shows that he still has what it takes to become champion. So I would say do that matchup if they're not going to do the Aldo. I like the Aldo matchup a little bit more, but yeah, they're do that Peter Yan versus Dominic Cruz if he really wants to show what he's made out of.
I would love to see that. Oh my God. I mean, the one I still want to see the most is I want to see him fight Aldo. I just think that, both these guys are really hitting their stride and kind of their last run. And I'd love to see them meet each other in the octagon and just throw down. I think that would be a phenomenal fight. But I would definitely take Peter Yan versus Dominic Cruz too. Damn, that is a clinic in striking right there. Holy moly.
Yeah.
But that puts a bow, folks, on this episode of the Great Canadian Fight Show. Kyle Allen, did you have any other shout outs or anything you'd like to mention before we wrap this one up?
No, not too much. Not that I can think of. Trying to think of any other good news that was out recently, but nothing's coming to the top of my head. So yeah, we'll end it with that. I think yeah, we're good.
Excellent, folks. Well, again, like and subscribe. Thank you very much for listening. Don't forget to leave some comments as well. In the comments, we love your feedback. We love to hear about things that we can improve on or things that you'd like to see on the show. Otherwise, give us a like on Instagram as well. Great Canadian Fight Show 2022. As usual, it's been a pleasure talking fights with you. And keep in touch for the quick picks coming out soon. Have a good night, people.